The University of Northwestern Ohio, offering rare access to professional racing through a unique curriculum, propels young men and women into the fiercely competitive world of motorsports. Those careers start right here. Mind, character, physical ability. Motorsports U, the art of educating all three. Previously on Motorsports U, a top 10 finish by Andy Strait in the Modified Division A Main was overshadowed by the mistakes of 3 rookie drivers in the Budweiser Thunderstock Division and damages to the second modified car driven by Chris Puskas.
Started outside pole. Car felt great. It was nice and loose like I wanted it. So I was able to throw it around in the track a little bit easier than I was in the heat race. And I just loved it. Got into number 21Z a little bit coming out of turn 2 on a second lap, and I didn't mean to. I let out of it, try to get away from him, but he was right there and he straightened me out. Luckily, I just got around him and stayed there. It felt great. I loved it.
Well, I loved the experience. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I wish I would have kind of knew what I was doing a little more, because apparently there towards the end I got in the leader's way as he's trying to get around me, and that, I don't know, caused a big ruckus, I guess. He wasn't very happy with me. I mean, I didn't realize what I was doing. I thought I was just driving, you know, I was just trying to control my car. After the other teammate Jimmy hit me in the A main, I don't know, it went downhill from there. Like he hit my he hit my driver's side pretty hard, and then the next lap around, I ran into the wall, and my the right side front tire was all cambered in, and the car would just slide all over the track. My rear axle was all out of whack, and I was just trying to keep it in one spot all the way around, but this wasn't happening. Everything I tried to do, it just kept sliding up. And after hot laps, Mr. Pullman told us a couple things we were doing wrong, but after heat race, the only coaching I got was from my crew chief. He told me that I needed to turn a little sooner. And after the B main, nobody really said anything to me, and then after the A main, it was just kind of everybody was silent, and I don't know. It was fun. I didn't think I did too horrible. And I didn't get last place. And I'm not going to expect first or to do really good my first time out on the track. But
well, last week overall it was a good experience. It was my first time driving, and it was definitely an experience. Had a lot of fun doing it. Happy I got the opportunity. Wish I would have drove a little bit better. In the heat race, I hit the wall and messed up the car pretty bad, and everybody got together working on it quick as they could, get me back out on the track for the B main. And the only problem with that was we were mainly just rushing to get the car together and didn't really have time to fix the setup after changing so many parts. By the end of the night, the track was dry slick, and with my inexperience, it was pretty tough to handle. I started third in the B main, and a few laps in, I spun the car out and wasn't able to get it back after that. I mean, despite crashing the car, I was happy with how I was doing. I was passing cars in the heat race and kind of making my way through there, and that felt pretty good to be up there more or less being competitive with people who have been doing this, you know, possibly all their life, and they put their own hard work and money into it, and it's a real good opportunity to be able to do that myself. And it's a little bit intimidating, but once you get out there, you kind of forget about all that, and it's like, all right, it's, you know, time to drive, and you just kind of go out there and do it and see how it goes and kind of handle it the best you can. It's like I said, it's a little bit intimidating, but once you get out there, you realize it's just about driving. You don't even realize. I mean, you got to have track awareness and realize what everybody's doing. But once you get out there, I mean, I didn't even really think about everybody else. I just concentrated on my own driving. I was watching the cars, but I wasn't even concerned about passing. I just drove the best I could, and it turned out doing it that way. I ended up passing and making my way up.
Yeah, I'm very happy with that for my first time out. Ended up passing a guy right off the start, and ended up passing a guy after he spun out. And I'm very happy going from 7th to 6th.
Tonight's race marks the 75th anniversary of high-level competitive motorsports at Lima Land Motorsport Park. Top performers such as John Henry, Jeff Babcock, Tony Anderson, and the K&N UMP Modified's top point earner Todd Sherman are all set to do battle in tonight's performance. Tonight's action started right out of the gate with Andy Strait winning heat number 1 in a very convincing fashion. Andy's becoming a lot more consistent with his second place finish in the heat race and a top 10 finish in the A main in last week's action.
I think the biggest thing is I finally got comfortable with the car. I'm still not 100% comfortable, but I'm a lot more. And after the last time we ran, we ended up 6th. Had something to build from, almost won the heat that week. Luckily enough, we finally got a good draw, started outside pole and won the heat from there, and real happy. And after there was a caution in the heat, kind of got me a little worried. Improved, like it kind of made me think about what I needed to do. I needed to enter just a little bit lower and let the car slide up, and I think we did pretty well. The car felt pretty good in hot laps. The track came to us, which helped, and Skies started on the outside pole and just took the outside and kept going. Wow, for the school. First win since I raced my own car 2 years ago, so I'm glad to finally get a heat win. Feels good. Proud of my guys. Worked hard.
Chris Puskas finished 6th in heat race number 2, causing concern amongst the coaches after wrecking and finishing 19th in last week's race.
Well, I believe the cars are set up very good for the track and the conditions. Andy did a fine job in the number 2 car out there. Chris, however, I think needs to get used to his car and the driving style that it takes to get the car to do good the way it's set up in the track conditions. Instead of trying to move around, if the car works good up high, he should stay up high and not try to move down to the bottom. If the car's working good on the bottom, he should probably stay down there. It makes a big difference on how the car's set up. Currently, his car's set up to work better in the middle and up high on the track, so he really shouldn't be down on the bottom. So it's some learning for the drivers. We have to talk to the drivers, get them to enter the corners correctly and drive their car where their car is working for. And it's nice to wish it would work somewhere else, but if it's not going to, then you got to run it where it's going to work best for you in your race.
Mr. Stryker and Pullman pulled me and Andy to the white trailer and had like a little chit chat about what Andy was doing that I needed to do. And I mean, it's a little hard for one driver to take what another one says because I don't drive necessarily exactly the same as Andy. So it was helpful in a way because I understood what he was doing and took it to used it to my own advantage. And it definitely helped because I learned the car a lot more and it was 10 times better than it's been all year.
Here is to get the thing turned early and not be headed around the corner. After the yellow, you did it. You got it turned and shot. That one lap, you got it turned real good in 3, and you came off middle and straight, and that thing was the fastest it had ever been. It was like, wow. But you have to get that thing turned and headed down Because if you're headed out 4, it's going to go into the fence and you're going to lose the front end.
Last week, I think what you did is just threw it in a ton that one time. That's why you lost it.
Okay.
So all I want to do is get him in here. What the hell is he doing? How fast are you off the gas? How much are you off the gas? So we can try to get into this.
I drag the brake a little bit, and I don't drag it very long. It's real quick.
See, I can't do that because I don't have the floater.
You still can do
The
it.
floater ain't do it. He could do it. When he came in from the
I don't
hot lap,
think it-
he didn't even notice the floater was on.
I don't really think it.
He did the same thing last week in the feature. When he finally figured out the feature, about halfway through, boom, he started moving forward.
Biggest thing is what it's doing is just keeping the rear end more stable and high.
Okay.
I mean,
You let it drop, it takes all that rear steer out of it, and you step on it, all the bars are back neutral. It just wants to go boom, straight.
I don't know about your car, but are your brakes very, very touchy, like mine?
Kinda. I mean,
You got to just barely touch them. I mean, that's what I found, because I used to, like, you guys would yell at me because it dropped so much because I'd hit the brake way too hard, and that's what I was doing. And now you just, barely touch it.
I was really turning the car early because what I'm used to back home, I drive a mini sprint back home and it's got a wing on it, and it'll help you turn to the corner. In the modified, you really have to throw them hard into the corner. And Stryker said that, I could feel it too after I corrected myself. I was turning in way too early and the car would get straight in the center of the turn, almost like a go-kart, and you couldn't get off the turn anywhere. So after, figuring out that I needed to turn in later, the car rotated through the center of the turn and just took off like that.
Race fans, your top 5 finishers, Casey Ludicky. He shuffled back up to that front row after the complete restart. He was too much to handle. Casey Ludicky, the L5, takes 2 checkers. Mike Romicker, the 08.
Chris responded to this constructive criticism by dominating B-May.
The modified B-May.
Like you said, I was turning too early. I'd, wait a little bit, get it, just barely roll out, get back in it, and it would turn the car on its own.
Yeah.
It would just drive right up on the road. Yeah.
what'd the motor feel like?
When I was, it didn't really bog going in, but coming off, I had to pedal it a little bit just to keep the wheels from breaking loose. But other than that, it was fine. It had a ton of bite coming off the straightaway. That's our second B-Main win of the year, so it felt really good to go out, in the heat race and not do good at all. Miss qualifying, that's only the second time we haven't qualified for a show all year. And then just to be able to go out and win the B-Main again was a really good feeling to, prove myself to the coaches and everything that, I can do it and say, you didn't make the wrong decision.
The University of Northwestern Ohio High Performance Motorsports team is looking to rebound from a rough outing at Firecracker Friday by turning to more experienced drivers in their stock division. Jared Back will be driving the 01 car. Jared was selected as a backup driver for the Motorsports Modified team, so the coaches see Jared as a natural talent.
The school's definitely got top-notch stuff. They give us the best of everything, and I think a lot of it, is experience. There's a lot of guys out here that have a lot of years of experience, and that's a big thing in winning a race is experience. And if I can learn from them, and I'll try to do what I can.
Cale Ross will be driving the number 2 car. Cale has had quite a bit of seat time in the stock cars this year and has had some pretty good finishes already this season. Cody Wiesner will be driving the number 1 stock car. Earlier this season, Cody became the first rookie driver from the University of Northwestern Ohio to win a feature race in the Budweiser Thunder Stocks. This week's drivers for the UNOH stock team were all up to the challenge and performed very well. Cale Ross won heat number 1, moving up steadily from 4th place starting position, holding off Sam Bodine for the win. Jared Back and Cody Wiesner both finished 5th, respectively, in their heat races, and all 3 of the University of Northwestern Ohio stock team drivers will be advancing to the A main.
Started 4th in the heat race. Just running 4th there, pretty consistent, and a few cars in front of us had a mishap or wreck. We were able to get around that, put us up front in the heat, and led the rest of the way, won the heat race. Car was pretty good, needed a little bit of fine-tuning. I needed a little fine-tuning myself, driving-wise, but went out in the feature and made the most of it. But heat race was a good run, won the heat, which is always a good thing.
In the A main, Cale Ross, driving the number 2 car, finished with an impressive top 10 effort, a welcome turnaround from last year's disappointing outing.
Discussing with the coaches helped me out a lot in between races. I was thinking about making changes to the car, and we ended up deciding to leave it exactly the same. I went out and changed my driving style. The biggest thing, I come out of go-kart racing where you want to run the car really straight. These cars, you really got to throw them around. You got to get them to turn before you get to the corner, and I struggled with that in the heat. So after talking with the coaches, talking with a couple people, I was able to take some of those tips and turn them into a little different driving style for the feature. So they had an invert. I believe they inverted the top 9 or 10 for the features. So instead of starting outside pole for winning the second heat, I ended up starting in the 9th spot. Track was totally different. Started to rubber down a little bit, but really it was just hard. Was able to take some of the driving tips that I had taken and ran the car a lot different. We made up a few spots. We were just outside the top 5 with 2 to go. Was running 6th, and then decided to get antsy and send it in on the bottom and try and get into the top 5. And ended up slipping a little bit coming off the corner and got passed by 1 car, so we wound up 7th. All in all, it was a pretty good solid race though. Car's all clean, untouched. So, good solid run.
Tonight, track was a lot different tonight than when we won. It really got a lot harder than what it was when we won. The cushion was more aggressive, I would say, tonight than what it was. I think it was back in June, but I didn't think the line was up there. It was more on the bottom. That's where I tried staying and going in a little higher and trying to get down to the moisture where nobody else was at, and that's why. I think that's why we ended up, I think we started 15th and got up to 8th at one point before the left front got cut down by another driver that drove in a little too hard, but I guess we won't talk about that. But overall, I thought we had a real good night. We ended up fixing that and got back out, and I think we finished 12th, but there was a big group of cars. There was about 5 of us that went side by side for the checkers, so. But we made a few changes back last week with the rear suspension and how that was working, and it made a big difference tonight. I think it's a lot faster than what it was when we won, so hopefully here in the next couple weeks, if I get the opportunity to be in it, then we can kind of show what changes we made and make it a faster car yet, maybe. So we'll see what happens.
After Andy's win in heat number 1 and Chris's big win in the B main, the UNOH Motorsports team had the momentum to take their first win of the season in the K&N UMP feature race.
Limaland's pretty tough competition. There's a lot of guys out there that have been out there for 15, 20 years running Limaland. We go out there, our students, you know, it's their first year in those cars at Limaland. So you're going up trying to battle with guys that have, you know, they wrote the book on what it takes to get around Limaland. And to see our guys go out and compete on a good level and be competitive with them, that is success right there.
Both Andy and Chris ran good races, with Andy producing another top 10 finish and Chris behind him in the number 11 spot. It was the experienced driver, John Henry, winning with Todd Sherman in second.
You did good. I'll take that. I'll take that. Yeah, you gave me 2 out of 10. I'll take it, Todd.
I was happy that I started off kind of just screwing up, and finally I got back in a rhythm. I was happy once I got my rhythm back. I was all right. I was happy with that. I'll take finishing where we started. I'll take that 6th place. I'll take that.
Like what he did early in the heat, where he was getting on it, making it tight. That's the way you had to get in today.
Okay.
Because in the feature it was already slick. But what you did is start going in there, turning, and coming down.
Yeah. It was fast. I liked it. It was good.
I moved down because of the guys that were directly ahead of me running the high line, so the only way I'm going to get around them is running below them. So I was really, I mean, I could have ran just about anywhere, but just trying to gain a spot. And with the way the car was 2 weeks ago, I mean, that's I stayed on the bottom just trying to get around the guy in front of me.
Part of our goal this week was to go out there and represent the university the way we should represent the university. The last week we were out here racing, we basically got a good black eye. Had a lot of problems on the track, and this week afterwards I think everything went the way we planned on, and students did a wonderful job, the drivers did a wonderful job. Very pleased with the turnout from this weekend.
Next week on Motorsports U, the University of Northwestern Ohio holds its annual update seminar and its Meet the Drivers Night at Lima Land Motorsport Park, where the modified team has one of the best nights of the season.